here.
Go,
Pack,
Pack,
go. Go, Pack, go. So let's just fast forward into the season here, like around week 9, and it really didn't look that good for Jordan Love and the Packers. It looked like maybe they need Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they need someone to, get the wheels going and whatever. And Jordan Love just becomes Aaron Rodgers out of the blue and just takes off running with it. He really does. They sneak into the playoffs at 9-8. They win, I think, their last 7 of 9. They went on a tear, defeating the Chargers. They beat the Rams. They were just going left and right, just beating all these teams and whatnot. They go into the playoffs. They become the first 7 seed to defeat a team in the playoffs. Very first team. And Jordan Love looked like Aaron Rodgers 2.0 out there, and they came up just short against the San Francisco 49ers. We were really close to getting a Lions and Packers NFC Championship game, which would print money and feed generations, as they would say. But this is the heir to the throne, to the Packers' throne. 3 quarterbacks over the span of, I don't even know how many years, 30 years? It has to be. This is the man. Your man, Jordan Love.
I mean, they were a 7 seed, but it's the Cowboys. Doesn't really count.
I need to pull up something really quick, Dom. So, I mean, here.
Okay. What do you want?
I'm not showing it here. I just have to read it out loud because it's funny.
Okay.
So, there wasn't really much of a change on this team last year. Comparing last year to this year, Josh Jacobs is the notable one. The Packers are always that team that stays in-house. Like, hey, you're drafted a Packer, you're going to stay a Packer, and we're not going to spend money outside unless we absolutely have to. Example, Charles Woodson, one of the big names, goes up to Green Bay, helps them win a Super Bowl. And Josh Jacobs is now another name to add to that list. There isn't much that's changed on this offense. Except, the draft picks. I don't really have much to say on this team, but, I hope they can just continue off of what they did last year with Jordan Love.
I think that's it. I mean, they're running it back. It's very similar. You clearly add Josh Jacobs, so I think could be a little bit more effective than Aaron Jones. Like, even though Aaron Jones was great for them, so I never understood. But I guess they think Josh Jacobs could carry more of the load where Aaron Jones couldn't, and that's kind of what they're looking for. So if Jordan Love can jump off of the season he built last season, I think the Packers are in a really, really good spot. You know what their defense is going to give you, and this offense, again, if Christian Watson's can stay healthy. Jaden Reed had a great season last year, like a welcome to the NFL type season. And Romeo Doubs is a nice, number 2, number 3 receiver. So I think this team, could definitely bounce off of last season and continue to build and compete for the NFC North this season with the Detroit Lions. Jordan Love definitely shocked some people last season the way he played. And, I think this team's definitely in a prime position to push for the NFC with the Lions.
Honestly, I actually really like that they didn't change anything really with this offense. I mean, Josh Jacobs is almost like a plug and play kind of thing with Aaron Jones. So that's not a big deal. But like you said, could take more of a workload. But I do like that they didn't change just because it's Jordan Love first starting year. Now it's going to be going into his second. The lack of change, the consistent.
I wouldn't say the lack of change. I mean, you go from a 31-year-old running back in Aaron Jones, which I don't know if Packer fans really wanted him to go, and then you bring in Josh Jacobs, who was very iffy last year.
Yeah, but it's.
I mean, you hand off the ball. Josh does the rest. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that crazy. They take reps in practice and camp and stuff that he's going to know how to hand the ball off to him. But I think otherwise, I mean, AJ Dillon's still there. That could be pass game stuff. This is the smallest you could ever ask for in a change on an offense, I think, year to year. So I think that's going to be good. It's all up to Jordan Love 100% now. So I like.
Can he get that contract? That's the next thing there.
Well, if he has a season like he did last year, he's easily getting paid. There's no offense or buts.
I think he's only going to get better.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. It's up to him. It's completely up to him right now.
So they're really assuming that he takes the big year 2 jump, which, I mean, he was already It's
I was
weird.
saying, he took it last year. He took that big leap last year. Where it's like, okay, what is Jordan Love? And he told people, yeah, I am what the Packers thought I was going to be. So,
Like-
if you can continue it, they're in a very good spot to compete for the North. Like, they'll be right up there with the Lions.
I got two things to say. I mean, Christian Watson, I mean, who knows what his injury thing's going to be this year. He went to the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, him and Eric Stokes, and they went under 8 hours of testing one day. And they found out that Watson's one hamstring that he always hurts is 20% weaker than his other hamstring. And it's always the one he like pulls and strains and does all that stuff with. Now, you know, with anything like weightlifting or anything like that, you're not going to have two equal muscles that can carry the same thing. You always have the dominant arm, a dominant leg, and whatnot. But now that Christian Watson found that out and Eric Stokes found that out, he could close the gap into maybe like a 6% difference or a 7% difference. And maybe this is the cure for hamstring injuries. Who knows?
So actually, I can personally attest to this because I struggle with hamstring tightness and one being imbalanced to the other, and it screws me up completely. Like my back, my legs, like it really fully can put me on the couch for a few days.
But like at
And
least
the fact that they figured that out is
It might cure
not-
hamstring.
it's not
hamstring
nothing.
problems.
yeah.
it's not nothing.
Yeah.
Figuring out like that specific muscle group being a problem is like actually a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, the fact that it's diagnosed, the fact that him and the staff and stuff knows what it is, and trainers.
Oh, it's just like the whole like a group of students and all that stuff, and like the medicine. It's not even like Packers like people. It's like
no, but they know now. Like
Yeah.
the trainers know, he knows. So going forward,
yeah,
they're
he's
gonna-
like working out that one hamstring a little more than whatnot there.
yeah, that's
And
fair.
also, I got to say the second thing too. Flashback to Marshall last year that told us we're comical and watching Packers previews. YouTube is full of casuals. Thank you, Marshall. I'll tag you in this one. Make sure you watch it this year.
That's wow. Okay. Damn. Well,
Mace-
We were
Against
brutal. We
Chicago?
were brutal on the Packers last year. That's why.
They started.
No. I agree. We were right on it. And then Jordan Love said, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I have to actually play quarterback," and then took off.
He figured it out midway through the season, and they were no longer brutal.
So on the defensive side of the football, the biggest piece that they added was Xavier McKinney from the Giants, paying him $17 million. Now they have a really good safety, and I think this matches up with Nick Collins from a dozen years ago, since last time he played until he had an unfortunate neck injury. You get Javon Bullard, who in the second round as well. Jaheir Alexander was the question mark because it seemed like he was on his way out, but he's still with the Packers, so I'm still not too sure what's going to go on with that. But I don't have any issues with this defense. I really don't. Big fan of Corey Ballantyne. And you have Carrington Valentine on the opposite side of him with Eric Stokes.
I don't mind Preston Smith either.
Yeah, the Smith brothers. Preston Smith and,
So Darius.
Darius Smith. There we go.
Years ago.
Smith brothers. That's a throwback. And then Rashawn Gary, who, erupted back onto the scene last year. I think he was coming off an injury. And then he came back and he's just, a dominant player.
He was just gracing over the biggest real ad is Edgerrin Cooper. That dude's a beast. That dude is a beast of a see ball, get ball linebacker. Just an absolute human torpedo.
I don't even see that on here. I'm so confused.
He's the middle linebacker. In gold.
Orange highlighted.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
Gold
Sam,
orange.
are you colorblind?
Yeah.
Might be. Yeah. Again, this is probably one of the better units in this division, so they're definitely a really good spot. That's why I said, like, their springboard is going to be if their wide receiver room can stay healthy, and you see them improving from Jordan Love. Like, if he has another really good season, oh God, again, preview what the season could be comes down to Jordan Love. If he can, again, take a slight step above where he was last year, which was one of the best quarterbacks in football, this team's competing for the NFC North. So the Packers are in a very, very good spot here. They can just continue to grow with Jordan Love.
Would it be outrageous to say, like, what if they're buyers for a Brandon Ayuk? If, it really turns that far south with
Well,
the
how many
Niners
years
and
do they
Ayuk?
have before they got to pay Love?
Well, they got to pay Love now.
yeah.
Like, this is like their modified 5th-year deal.
They ain't gonna do it.
I say, didn't they do like a modified deal with him, right? I
Yeah,
thought they
so
did.
like, they did a modified deal. So like, if he hits like the goal progressions, like he will get paid like that 5th-year option money essentially.
I'd love for them to get Brandon Ayuk. Like for them, that'd be phenomenal. They need something like that. That'd be
Or
great.
they should get a guy named
I think they do.
Devontae Adams. I've seen a couple swaps of him in Packers
Just saying
jerseys.
that, 'cause I'm like 100% convinced he's going to be a Jet at the end of August.
Bro, I'm so convinced he's not going to be a Jet. But
Yeah, I am very convinced he's not going to be a Jet. The thing is, you're singing from Hard Knocks from last year. That dude was so pissed, and until the quarterback coaching changed, he's not going anywhere.
me and Will have gotten fights about this, so
Yes.
He's not going anywhere.
I don't think he's.
Give me the
Well,
schedule, Will.
Let's get to the schedule, Dom. Click it over. Swipe. There we go. A beautiful schedule. Look how beautiful it is. I still think this is a double-digit win team. I think 10 wins.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's like the median. They could slip one. They could gain one. I don't know how that Brazil game's going to be. I know there's not really a big time difference, so I don't really think there's an advantage or a disadvantage, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I would play-
they're around a 10-win team here. They're going to be around the same as last year. They could shock a game or two here. Only bad thing for them is that they're playing some of these teams early. Like the Eagles clearly is a problem early. The Colts early. Like Anthony Richardson looked really good last year until he got hurt. So they have a lot of good teams early. But like that middle of the schedule, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not that that week 5 to 9.
The end of the schedule too. I mean, Seattle's not the easiest team, but then you go New Orleans, you go Minnesota, you go Chicago at the end of the year. That couldn't, that might not be bad.
Yeah, their back end could definitely push them over the hump. That's for sure. Again, this is I'm a Will here. 9-10 wins again.
I'm assuming one of those is a Thanksgiving game because I have 2 back-to-back Thursdays.
Oh yeah, has to be.
Oh yeah, the Dolphins one is a primetime Thanksgiving game.
Yeah. And depending on Dolphins injuries, I think that could be.
I would say the Dolphins in general. They were poached.
Sure,
they were poached this offseason.
No, that's tough. Yeah,
that sucks. And then they have to play Detroit for probably the division right then and there.
And that one's away for Green Bay. But then after that, if they need a spot and they need they're only a win out. I mean, to end with, if you could beat Seattle and then end with New Orleans,
Minnesota. You got to play in Seattle. That is a hostile environment.
But you have harder games on the schedule, and then New Orleans, Minnesota, Chicago. I mean, could be wins.
They're 9-10 wins. They're going to be around the same thing as last year. They're 9-10 wins.
I think there's a shot that they could even start 4-0 because the Eagles have 2 new coordinators. A lot of training has to be done, and I know, I don't know. It's like we were
4-0. At that rate, you might as well possibly win at the Rams. The Cardinals blow, and then they could start 6-0 at that rate. Sure, I know we're pissing on the Rams right now. We're definitely acting like the Rams are going to really suck. They're not going to be that bad, but
they're going to be better now.
If you're going to that, they could be very well 6-0. So if you're going to talk that highly, I don't see that because I think the Colts were definitely really good.
If you're playing Richardson coming off the shoulder injury, I think he's going to be a little hesitant.
Richardson every week was an injury, so who knows?
I hear you. If he could play though, and he's healthy, and he learned his lesson, the Colts, I think are going to be a shocking team. But 9-10 wins is this team, and again, that's kind of.
I have 10 as maybe even the floor, to be honest.
I wasn't even counting. I was more looking at what's their schedule look like for them to win the division, and I think
win the division.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many do you think that the Detroit's just going to win outright 13 games?
That's the thing. Detroit, I'm glad we're getting into them next. Detroit, we're also talking about the team that gave away the NFC Championship game. They
don't remind me, please.
I'm a big fan of what Detroit has done, but do you think to say that they're that far apart from Green Bay you're kidding yourself?
No, that's fair.
They're not a ton apart, but
difficult too.
And every